Hello and welcome back to Sam Swains the World. I'm your host, Samantha Bremekamps, and no, these bees aren't actors, they're real. On today's episode, we're totally going to dive into the garden, do all the necessary villain work of snip, snip, hooraying, cutting back, and training our vines up. We're also going to dive into some really good food, little variety, if you will. So I hope you brought some good snacks, you're hugging a loved one or annoying them, whatever brings you joy, and you're ready to kick off your weekend with me. I always look forward to it. Nothing quite like hanging out in the garden in the morning after some great coffee, and the air is cool, finally, and you're seeing that the work that you've done has finally paid off. We had some really long winter days, and then spring was a long extension of winter. So to finally see everything, all that hard work pay off is priceless. And it's getting me stoked to start planning for next year, which, one thing at a time. But seriously, there's so much to get done or to dream about. What will I add next year? Will be more fun to hang over the edge, more than just cucumbers and jackpot little pumpkins and sugar snaps. Maybe some really cool gourds that end up hollowing out to become like a bird feeder. It felt very inspired hanging out in the garden, listening to the birds, seeing the moon in the sky still. So cool. It's a jungle out there, friends. And if your garden is reacting the way mine is to all this incredible rain and sun and repeat and going bananas, it's time to continue either pruning, preening, or training your vines so that they don't take over and hit you in the face. It tickles and it doesn't have to. So get in there, get pumped for this episode coming up, in which we learn that it's important to kill your darlings, just like Stephen King said, but in this case, we mean plants and some of the offshoots that need to be cut back. No, we're not monsters, we're gardeners, friends. So get on board. It is an absolutely gorgeous morning in the garden, and I came in to be the Grim Reaper because of the rain. Everything just blew up, as you can tell behind me. So it's very important that you come in and you trim out any of the older leaves or those that have, holes in them or weird markings because something's happening with them. You need the airflow to come in so that everybody gets air, mildew isn't present, and the bees don't have to work so hard to find the flowers. You're going to feel like, maybe a little bit of like a monster, but really it's cathartic. So just imagine all your enemies as you're doing a little pruning, preening, and make it easier on yourself. But this has gone way, way, way taller than me, which is, what you want. And then I have to retrain. So we have a lot of people. And if they're the original vine, I'll help them go train up the arch. If they're an offshoot, they have to go. I know it's sad, but they're plants. So you kind of have to get over that. Very busy. Always something to do. My favorite place to be. So we're in here cleaning up, and it's very important to see if there are any vines. And you're like, boy, what a healthy vine. But if you look to see where it comes from, it's an offshoot. So that's going to get snipped. I mean, that's just how it is. Like, you have to be an absolute savage. So we're going to snip just the offshoot vine. Look, he's choking other people, so I'm going to cut that too. But it's important, and you need to air it out. You see some people who are brown because the leaves have died, and are yellow because they're not getting enough sunlight and airflow. So you have to kill your darlings. It doesn't hurt them, they're plants. And it'll be so much nicer for the garden to give all that energy back to the main plant, the main stem, to produce such gorgeous fruit or vegetables. They run the same sometimes. That's how you do it, though. It's really easy to figure out sometimes with what leaves have to go. burn my fingers. Like this one clearly is not healthy. It's being choked out, possibly by its own plant or cousin. So we're just gonna ditch it. Any of these, they're clearly not getting enough sunlight or nutrients. So we're just gonna ditch them so that the energy can go to what is doing well and will become cucumbers or pumpkins, whatever they end up being. But man, so many friends and so many leaves that are just super ready. See, like that brown one? They're ready. It's time. They need to be cleaned up. It's perfect out right now because it's nice out. So gotta go be the reaper. Someone has to do it. May as well be you or me. And again, super cathartic. So as you can see, I am surrounded by new growths that happened overnight, even after I hacked everything. So I'm gloving up. Thank you to my mother-in-law, Doreen, for these awesome gloves. And away we snip. I know it seems a little bit mean and savage to want to do that, but as you see things growing off that are not the main vine, you have to. You have to if you want your main vine to have a chance to produce enough produce for you to feel good about your garden. Yeah, big offshoot. It's so funny how they all grab each other. Nature's amazing. Just do a little. I love how curly the tendrils can get, but they do start to go all Hannibal on each other because they start to choke their own vines or each other's vines or whatever, which is so silly. Now this one is also an offshoot, which is sad, but that's okay. It has to go. It has to go. This one right here, let go. This is a main tendril. So I'm going to use, whoop, you just slapped me in the face, nature. I'm going to use the garden wire, get a nice long piece of it. And the cool thing that I learned is this thing has a little cutter, press to cut. That's it. It's so easy. So now I'm going to take the plant that slapped me in the face. I'm going to gently wrap it. Because I'm using wire, you want to be extra careful not to harm it. And you're going to direct it up. Let me. There we go. To the ceiling. To the sky, I should say. Okay, so I've wrapped the wire and now I'm going to train the tendrils so it pushes up. It wants to go up. Sorry about my glove. The whole point of this is that you want everything to go up and over the archway. So I'm looking at this and I'm trying to figure out if it's the main one. Okay, this is the main one. So I'm going to use a piece of that wire again and I'm going to snip it real good. I also have tomato tape, which is like a really fine Velcro, which is very gentle. So I use it for things that like can't handle wire. But for something like this, and because I'm doing it very delicately, I find wires easier because it's so much easier to adjust it as it climbs up. String is cool, but for me, it's annoying to have to like untie and retie it, you know? Okay. And then you teach the tendril to go up. That's it. So easy. It's really easy. And it's so necessary. If you let it go wild, it would absolutely take over everything. And then, as I was pointing out, like start like really going after itself. which is of course going to affect its growth and maturity and getting all of the vegetation that you absolutely dream of. So happy training, and don't be afraid to try things, and don't be afraid to cut back. It really needs to happen. Gardening is the best, but you do have to be a villain sometimes for the betterment of the garden. So here we have the original vine. So I'm going to help train it. You guys need to watch. This time I'm going to try some of the tomato tape just to show you what it looks like. It's basically like a ribbon. It's very soft material and has like a little stickiness to it. We'll try it. I don't know if it's going to work as well. I am putting the sticky side out so it gets stuck to itself. I'm going to train it to go high. I'm short, so that's as high as it can go. And moving the tendril to happily wrap around the arch. I'm just going to wrap it around itself. It's not bad. It worked pretty well. I do usually or generally prefer the wire, but this instance, the tape. So whatever you have, you can also just use string or twine. It doesn't matter. You don't need to have anything fancy or something that's, labeled specifically for the thing that you're doing. You can get creative. One of my favorite things is using twisty ties. I save them from everything. Always have pockets full of twisty ties, much to the washer and dryer's chagrin. But whatever works. I mean, it's your garden. Whatever you have. Shoelaces, I don't know. Endless possibilities. And there's nothing quite as rewarding as gardening. Thank you for joining me on this Sam Splains the World with your host, Samantha Bremekamps. I look forward to hearing all about your gardens and the really awesome food that you're going to make. Thank you, BCTV, for hosting me. Every Friday, 8 p.m. See you next week. Because I cut back so much, all of the flowers are now completely exposed, making it super easy for the bees to get through and pollinate everything. I know it seemed like a super savage move, but look, whoops. Airflow, easy access for pollinators will give so much more fruit vegetation. Slowly getting so tall, almost over the arch. Jack be littles, pickles galore, or I should say future pickles galore. And I just can't get over how gorgeous that is. And it will no doubt be pollinated soon, if not already. It's worth it, friends. Be the bad guy. Be the one who makes the cuts. So gorgeous, but very important. And just like that, more offshoots grew overnight. So I'm going to do a really quick boop Nippington. That was it. No, I don't feel like a monster. I feel like I'm helping the garden tremendously. Because there's pickles, future pickles, all over this. And I want the energy focused on those delicious things. I'm also noticing some leaves are fighting with each other. So I'm going to get rid of those too to allow the newer leaves to get the sun. The older the leaf, the less energy it's able to take in. So, always make way for the new, healthier leaves. Oh man, it is really coming together and it's super exciting. Hey, babe, bees everywhere. They're thanking me for cutting back so that they have easy access to the flowers that they cannot wait to pollinate, and we cannot wait to eat. We cannot wait. And the pollinate, you know, and I'm surrounded by pollinators, aka bees, that cannot wait to pollinate all of these flowers, and they're thanking me for making it so much easier for them to get to. Just a little snipping goes a long way in the garden. Gorgeous day. Love that songbird. Ooh, one of those make-a-wish things. All right, make a wish. My wish is for your gardens to come out better than you ever expected. So low afraid bees. Because I cut back so much, all of the flowers are now completely exposed, making it super easy for the bees to get through and pollinate everything. I know it seemed like a super savage move, but look, whoops. Airflow, easy access for pollinators will give so much more fruit vegetation. Slowly getting so tall, almost over the arch. Jack be littles, pickles galore, or I should say future pickles galore. And I just can't get over how gorgeous that is. And it will no doubt be pollinated soon, if not already. It's worth it, friends. Be the bad guy. Be the one who makes the cuts. So gorgeous, but very important. All those zinnias from seed are finally blooming and they're gorgeous. The colors are just enchanting. And yes, the flowers are going to bring all the bees to the yard. I'm not saying it's better than yours. I'm just saying it's important to have a variety of different types of flowers to attract the pollinators who will then go pollinate all of your vegetation. It's a beautiful morning for gardening, specifically. Good morning, gardeners. A little quick tip. If you want to attract things like goldfinches and you live in a region where they visit, you need to plant things like sunflowers because the goldfinch, which is yellow, is attracted to yellow flowers, just like the cardinal is attracted to red flowers and such. But growing sunflowers and other yellow flowers will bring them in. And I just met a really adorable couple that were hanging out on the top of the arch while I was pruning and such, but I didn't get to snap a photo because I was busy in the garden and also they were very fast. But sunflowers, goldfinch, no brainer. So just to give a little update on the enormous pumpkin growing from the volunteer, by the way, which is just so much fun. It absolutely got so big overnight that it split the bag. So I'm keeping it on it for now, like a shield. But I have to try to find something bigger. And it needs to be mesh to block out the bugs. It can't be like deer netting, bird netting would even still have too many big gaps for the bugs to get in. So I'm going to now see what else I have like that and hope to find something because, it's delicious and people are going to be very interested in it. So, in all its glory. And there's a little guy. where I was going to use the bag from the original one to go on the smaller one, but it it got so strong, so swole, as they say, in the workout world, that it just burst at the seams, which is actually exciting and impressive, but also, whoops. So as I mentioned, keep an eye on your pumpkins and make sure to change the bag before they explode overnight, which they could happen. It happens to the best of us. So. Constantly training these vines to go the way I want them to. They hold on to each other for dear life, which really ends up messing them up a little bit more than if they just tried to branch it on their own. You know how that is. Always go to the sun, my little friends. There we go. There we go. I always do it loosely on the end of the wire in case I need to adjust it or change it in any capacity. You don't want to do things too tight with plants. Plants are constantly changing. Soon enough, there will be more sprouts to deal with, but that is the life of a gardener. Make sure this pickle gets some help. A little top heavy, I totally get that. There we go. Look, multiple spots, so it has a couple places to brace itself. Ooh, this one I'm gonna pick right now because delicious. Maybe I'll eat it. Maybe I'll give it to marmalade. I don't know, but it never ends. But it is super, super duper worth it. And yes, I had to use a ladder to get taller because I'm not tall without a ladder. Um, would I trade it for anything? No. Fresh these 24/7. Yeah, it's totally worth it. So cool. That guy. Delicata squash episode coming up. Stay tuned. And sometimes you forget what you've planted and you find a giant orangey yellow thing. And then you have to go back to your notes in the Excel sheet you made to see what that is. Because I have no idea, but look how giant it is. I don't get it. I don't get it. I did grow a lot of different varieties thanks to the Free Heirloom Seeds organization, all the volunteers. I have no idea, but this is hilarious. It's really heavy. I'm going to bring it in and dissect it and see what it is. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Sam's Plants the World with your host, Samantha Bremekamps. I hope you have the courage to get into that garden, get your hands dirty, and do a lot of pruning and preening because the garden needs it and it bounces back tenfold when you do it. You got this. You're amazing. See you next time, friends. 8 p.m. Fridays on BCTV Berks.